Pimicikamak Cree Nation experienced a significant power outage over the holiday season. And it was one that I read in the chief's statement where he had talked about they had raised the issue of these power lines going into the community with Manitoba Hydro in the past. And I find that really interesting because I see across so many Indigenous communities this issue of risk that exists, but it's not being dealt with either by the jurisdiction responsible, or the government is not funding it, or whatever the case, it's just not being dealt with. And I wanted to just quickly go over a couple of aspects about risk communication that I think are really important. Because I see communities in one or two of areas. One, they've never actually done a formal risk assessment, which means, there's things out there that the community knows are a risk, but maybe they haven't gone out and formally collected the data and information to articulate that risk or the impact, or they have done an assessment and they haven't communicated the risk or the impact. And when you're communicating risk, there's two critical pieces that have to be done outside of not using jargon and outside of keeping it simple and being timely. One, you want to know your audience. So the risk of a power outage, the audience for that is not only Manitoba Hydro, but it's the federal government, it's the community members, it's staff in the nation, it's elders, it's youth, it's other partners and contractors and suppliers in the community. All of those audiences need to know about the risks in a community. But what they really, really need to know, and where you really want to start with, is impact. Showing what happens or what it means for the audience if this risk comes to light and a disaster occurs and it impacts the community. What is the impact to members, families, elders, youth, people in a hospital, the store, nation staff? What is the impact to the Crown, who's responsible for funding this, or even Manitoba Hydro, who's responsible for the repairs and the infrastructure? I mean, it's one thing to talk about and say, this is wrong or this needs to be better, but it's a whole other thing to tailor the impact and the message to the correct audience. So First Nations, emergency managers, if you're out there listening, put a priority on communicating your risk this year so you have a better chance of getting the funding and support that you need from the government and your leadership.